Book 6. Argument. The episodes of Glaucus and Diomedes, and of Hector and Andromache. The gods having left the field, the Grecians prevail. Helenus, the chief augur of Troy, commands Hector to return to the city in order to appoint a solemn procession of the queen and of the Trojan matrons to the temple of Minerva to entreat her to remove Diomedes from the fight. The battle relaxing, during the absence of Hector, Glaucus and Diomedes have an interview between the two armies, where, coming to the knowledge of the friendship and hospitality passed between their ancestors, they make exchange of their arms. Hector, having performed the orders of Helenus, prevails upon Paris to return to the battle, and taking a tender leave of his wife Andromache, hastens again to the field. The scene is first in the field of battle between the rivers Simois and Scamander, and then changes to Troy. Now heaven forsakes the fight. The immortals yield to human force and human skill the field. Dark showers of javelins fly from foes to foes. Now here, now there, the tide of combat flows, while Troy's famed streams that bound the deathful plain on either side run purple to the main. Great Ajax first to conquest led the way, broke the thick ranks, and turned the doubtful day. The Thracian Acamas his falchion found, and hewed the enormous giant to the ground. His thundering arm a deadly stroke impressed, where the black horsehair nodded o'er his crest. Fixed in his front the brazen weapon lies, and seals in endless shades his swimming eyes. Next Teuthras' son disdained the sands with blood, Axylus, hospitable, rich, and good. In fair Risbe's wall, his native place, he held his seat, a friend to human race. Fast by the road, his ever-open door obliged the wealthy and relieved the poor. To stern Tydides now he falls a prey, no friend to guard him in the dreadful day. Breathless the good man fell, and by his side his faithful servant old Calesius died. By great Euryalus was Dresus slain, and next he laid Opheltius on the plain. Two twins were near, bold, beautiful, and young, from a fair Naiad and Bucolion sprung. Laomedon's white flocks Bucolion fed, that monarch's firstborn by a foreign bed. In secret woods he won the Naiad's grace, and two fair infants crowned his strong embrace. Here dead they lay in all their youthful charms, the ruthless victor stripped their shining arms. Astylus by Polypoetes fell, Ulysses' spear Pedytes sent to hell. By Teucer's shaft brave Eretion bled, and Nestor's son laid stern Ablerus dead. Great Agamemnon, leader of the brave, the mortal wound of rich Elatus gave, who held in Pedasus his proud abode, until the bank where silver Satnio flowed. Melanthius by Eurypylus was slain, and Phylacus from Lytus flies in vain. Unblessed Adrastus next at mercy lies, beneath the Spartan spear a living prize. Scared with the din and tumult of the fight, his headlong steeds, precipitate in flight, rushed on a tamarisk's strong trunk, and broke the shattered chariot from the crooked yoke. Wide o'er the field, resistless as the wind, for Troy they fly and leave their lord behind. Prone on his face, he sinks beside the wheel. Atrides over him shakes his vengeful steel. The fallen chief, in suppliant posture, pressed the victor's knees, and thus his prayer addressed. Oh, spare my youth, and for the life I owe, large gifts of price my father shall bestow, when fame shall tell that, not in battle slain, thy hollow ships his captive son detain. Rich heaps of brass shall in thy tent be told, and steel well-tempered and persuasive gold. He said. Compassion touched the hero's heart. He stood suspended with the lifted dart, as pity pleaded for his vanquished prize. Stern Agamemnon swift to vengeance flies, and furious thus, O impotent of mind, shall these Atrides mercy find? Well hast thou known proud Troy's perfidious land, and well her natives merit at thy hand. Not one of all the race, nor sex nor age, shall save a Trojan from our boundless rage. Ilion shall perish whole and bury all, her babes, her infants at the breast shall fall, a dreadful lesson of exampled fate, to warn the nations and to curb the great. The monarch spoke. The words with warmth addressed, to rigid justice steeled his brother's breast. Fierce from his knees the hapless chief he thrust. The monarch's javelin stretched him in the dust. Then pressing with his foot his panting heart, forth from the slain he tugged the reeking dart. Old Nestor saw and roused the warrior's rage. Thus, heroes, thus the vigorous combat wage. No son of Mars descend for servile gains to touch the booty while a foe remains. Behold yon glittering host, your future spoil. First gain the conquest, then reward the toil. And now had Greece eternal fame acquired, and frighted Troy within her walls retired, had not sage Helenus her state redressed, taught by the gods that moved his sacred breast, where Hector stood, with great Aeneas joined, the seer revealed the counsels of his mind. Ye generous chiefs, on whom the immortals lay the cares and glories of this doubtful day, on whom your aids, your country's hope depend, wise to consult and active to defend, here at our gates your brave efforts unite, turn back the routed and forbid the flight, ere yet their wives' soft arms the cowards gain, the sport and insult of the hostile train. When your commands have heartened every band, ourselves here fixed will make the dangerous stand. Pressed as we are in sore former flight, these straits demand our last remains of might. Meanwhile thou, Hector, to the town retire, and teach our mother what the gods require. Direct the queen to lead the assembled train of Troy's chief matrons to Minerva's fane. Unbar the sacred gates and seek the power with offered vows in Ilion's topmost tower. The largest mantle her rich wardrobes hold, most prized for art, and labored o'er with gold, before the goddess's honored knees be spread, and 12 young heifers to her altars led. If so the power, atoned by fervent prayer, our wives, our infants, and our city spare, and far avert Tydides' wasteful ire, that mows whole troops, and makes all Troy retire. Not thus Achilles taught our host to dread, sprung though he was from more than mortal bed. Not thus resistless ruled the stream of flight, in rage unbounded and unmatched in might. Hector obedient heard, and with a bound leapt from his trembling chariot to the ground. Through all the host inspiring force he flies, and bids the thunder of the battle rise. With rage recruited the bold Trojans glow, and turn the tide of conflict on the foe. Fierce in the front he shakes 2 dazzling spears, all Greece recedes, and midst her triumphs fears. Some god, they thought, who ruled the fate of wars, shot down avenging from the vault of stars. Then thus aloud, Ye dauntless Dardans, hear, and you whom distant nations send to war, be mindful of the strength your fathers bore. Be still yourselves, and Hector asks no more. 1 hour demands me in the Trojan wall, to bid our altars flame and victims fall. Nor shall I trust the matron's holy train, and reverend elders seek the gods in vain. This said, with ample strides the hero passed, the shield's large orb beneath his shoulders cast. His neck o'ershading to his ankle hung, and as he marched the brazen buckler rung. Now paused the battle, godlike Hector gone, where daring Glaucus and great Tydeus' son between both armies met. The chiefs from far observed each other, and had marked for war.